What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called Yaengard, which mixes roguelite with narrative-heavy RPG. Although the narrative is emergent, so the game's not going to spend a whole bunch of time just kind of spitting lore and whatnot at you. Nonetheless, the game does actually have like its own world and its own things going on, and your characters develop personalities as the game unfolds. And so anyways, I think there's some interesting ideas in here. I've spent about an hour and a half with the game, and so I think I'm ready to give you guys my first impressions. If after watching this you wanted to check out Yaengard for yourself, I've got a link for you down below in the description. And on top of that, you'll also find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream just in case you wanted to hang out live. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and start the game off. We'll put it on normal mode, and I'm going to do my best to explain the gameplay mechanics as we move along. So this is basically the way that you're going to interact with the game. The game uses an FTL-style plotting system in order for your party to go from point A to point B. There's various things that can happen at each juncture. So if you get like a little letter thing right here, that's basically like a main quest type deal. You've got encounters, you've got combat, you've got skill challenges, basically the kinds of stuff that you would see in a D&D campaign. It's sort of like that, and as your characters develop skills and personalities and sort of like develop their background, the skill challenges and the encounters and things like that can be resolved by specific people in your party. Now, we've got like a big narrative dump right now, but in the interest of keeping the game like rolling forward and letting you guys see as much gameplay as possible, I think I'm probably just gonna skip over the top of it, and I'll kind of just give you a brief recap once we get past that point. Alright, so here we are. I skipped past all the dialogue or whatever. Effectively, the storyline is this. We are a group of people, peasants really, that live inside of a place called the Heartlands. The Heartlands is ruled by a very cruel lady who runs an inquisition that ruthlessly tries to track down and effectively murder anybody that doesn't agree. There is a prophecy that says that a group of adventurers are going to head to the north, and they're going to enter some kind of palace or tower or something like that and end the queen's reign. And so ultimately that's why she has the Inquisition running rampant, kind of murdering everybody that ever wants to leave their farm. For right now, a number of Inquisitors have arrived at our house after we received a letter from the last adventurer that died on his journey telling us to go north, and so obviously they think that we're guilty right now. So this is one of the first places. Normally what would happen here is in this narration, it would be telling you like, okay, there's a big rock, you need to move it. And then ultimately you can swap in between characters right here, and everybody has different skills on their character sheet. If you click on them, you can actually see the character sheet. So for example, we have, let's see here, we have Sully Cold, who used to be a healer. We have Isout Cleardust, she used to be a carpenter. And we have Hugh Oat, who was the village drunk. I mean, if you gotta go for a job, I feel like being absolutely just lacquered all the time it's not the worst job you could have around town. I mean, you could be the village dung sweep. It could be worse. Over time, they are going to add more perks and things and like skills and stuff to this roster right here as they do various activities. But for right now, we don't really have anything that's going to particularly aid us in this interaction. And so you pick a card basically. In other situations and challenges, there's going to be 4 or 5 cards down here, and each one will have a percentage chance on it. And if you swap in between, the percentages will change around. And you want to use the best character for the best card and the best result that you possibly can. However, each of your characters has a limited number of activities they can do per rest, which are denoted by these little yellow squares right here. In addition, you've also got Destiny, which is listed up above your character. I'm pretty sure that when you die, Destiny brings you back a limited amount of times. The game does have roguelite elements to it, where like the further you go and the better you do, it gives items to your next group of adventurers, but I haven't really tested it out extensively. In addition, every time you do any activity or resolve any event or win any combat, you get 1 XP. When your XP track is full up, everybody in your party simultaneously levels up, and then you get to apply stats and customize them and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, let's go ahead and we will just go with, I don't know, we'll start with Hugh Oat, I guess, since his actions are not particularly altogether that valuable, being the village drunk and whatnot. I am Yarrick, the breathtaker of the Atanic Empire. Alright, so we've got to choose our equipment for our first run. Unfortunately, we didn't really get that good of options. So we've got a number of stats down here on each character that you want to pay attention to. The stats in this game are important. You've got power, which is your weapon damage and initiative. You got toughness, which is your HP and lowers your initiative. So it actually runs counter to power. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen a game where you increase your stats to lose another primary stat, but just an observation. You have intelligence, which is for spellcasting and critical strike and all that kind of stuff. You have ancestry, which is spellcasting damage. You have agility, which gives you crit and dodge, and then a little bit of weapon damage for all types of weapons. And then you have talent, which affects creativity. Once we get to creativity, I'll talk about it later, but creativity is effectively like a luck dump stat, and I don't know if I would ever really use it. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at these party members. So we do have a magic user. It's kind of unfortunate that we didn't roll any magic user weapons at the beginning. It's kind of a bummer. We'll go ahead and give the wood saw to Isout. We'll go ahead and, do we have anybody that has, like, toughness? There we go. We want you to have the pickaxe, because the pickaxe gives us armor every time we attack with it. And then over here, it's just an iron rod wrapped in a cloth. Okay, that's fine enough. The combat system in this game is very, very simple. The battlefield is divided up into squares. A number of characters can occupy each square. And so as you can see, there's 3 of us on this square right here. And so this game actually tends to have like big brawls on one tile with like a bunch of characters on it. But there is a caveat to this system. If you have more than, like, if you have 5 or more characters on one square, it actually nerfs everybody's damage because it becomes too crowded to fight, basically, which leads to some basic flow in between the tiles in order to make things work. For right now, the enemy's a long ways away, so we're going to go ahead and focus, and we're just going to end our turn. There we go. Their spellcaster will probably be able to hit us, but this guy's not going to be able to get to us in time. Yeah, there it is right there. So they fired off a little bit. Things you need to know about with our characters: HP is on the bottom, armor is on the top. You regenerate a small amount of armor every turn that absorbs damage before it goes to your HP. Different characters with different gear sets will regenerate that faster. In addition, like our guy with the pickaxe, for example, he's going to get a little bit of his armor back every single time that he strikes an enemy, which is very, very useful. On any given turn, you can only move and then attack. Moving does not cancel out your attack, and attacking does not cancel out your move. They exist pretty much independently of one another. We'll go ahead and end that turn right there. So, Barley, deal 8 to 10 damage to an enemy. Yeah, let's do that on the caster. There you go. 8 damage on out, and then we'll end our turn. We're going to move them on over to here. And then we are going to harvest. Oh, it's too crowded over here. I was going to say, why was that damage so low? It's literally that thing that I just told you about. Now, in certain situations, it may actually be tactically more intelligent to crowd a tile. So what we did right there is we basically neutralized that Inquisitor's entire turn by getting too many people on the tile. We made him deal like no damage after we had net dealt most of our damage. And so in that case, it worked out in our favor, but sometimes it doesn't. We'll go ahead and give him the old smackety wackities, and then I will bring Senor Pickaxe over here, and we'll hit him for 5 to 6. There we go. I do wish that the game had like an engagement system, so I do think that the combat in this game suffers from kind of like a lack of rules. What I mean by that is, so inside the confines of this game, when you attack somebody, there's no attacks of opportunity or anything unless you have a specific piece of gear. So basically, since all of your abilities are tied to what you have equipped, there's no attack of opportunity except for if you're using a Warhammer. For whatever reason in this game, Warhammers, they allow you to lock down a tile and give you an attack of opportunity, but nothing else does, which means in this game, very, very frequently, what the AI will do is the AI will be like crazy annoying and like attack and then move and attack and move, which leads you chasing them all over the grid, even if they're melee characters. Like, there doesn't seem to be a solid sense of engagement in this game, and I do think that that could be fixed fairly easily by just kind of like adding in a system where anybody you attack on a given tile becomes linked to you, and you are now engaged in melee. And if they try to move out of that melee, they attack of opportunity. Like, by all means, let the Warhammer keep its ability that locks down an entire tile. But there should be a way to lock down characters that are just, like, blatantly attacking and kiting over and over and over again. Because they can't get away from you, and so sometimes some fights can really feel like it's just like, okay, I'm doing a whole bunch of useless moving because this guy won't stop hitting and then running around the map, basically. After the violence, you gather around the morning campfire, tired from having too little sleep. You find yourself reflecting on what has just happened. We can't stay here. A breathtaker's gone missing. The old farm is going to be infested with the Heartwatch before the end of the day. The aged adventurer sent us the map. We could make use of it and travel north. Go far enough north and we'll get to the Gates of Silence. Nobody's ever gotten through. Looking amongst yourselves, you all agree on one point. We're not strong enough to fight the Baroness, let alone the Atanic Empire. The air feels heavy around you, let alone Yaengard itself. The letter from the adventurer. It said we have to become adventurers. What does that mean? I, for one, have no idea, but we should seek out the Heartland Elder. He'll know. Looking over the grisly scene that occurred outside your home, the thought occurs. Falira's going to be furious over this. She's going to take it out on our families. Some of our own are going to hate us for what we brought down on the Heartlands, too. Did we do what was right? So this is the first choice that we have in the game that's actually going to matter, because it's actually going to form one of our characters' personalities. And the personality matters because if you move down the track, it basically gives them buffs to their stats. And so anyways, it creates sort of this self-fulfilling prophecy where a truthful character will tend to always be truthful because you want to get further and further along in the truthfulness tree. A deceitful character will be deceitful more frequently because, like, you want them to move down the character tree. And it's actually elegant in a number of ways because it sort of makes you pick a choice and then lock your way into it. And then if you go against that choice later on in the game, it costs you. And so, like, really having a character have a come to Jesus moment or something is costly in this game. If you want to, like, make them swap from, you know, generally being disagreeable, dishonorable, and so on and so forth, you're going to lose some stats before you reverse that meter. All right, so let's be noble. That sounds good. I think I'm going to have Isout. Who is my fighter? It's Hugh Oat. Okay, Hugh Oat. You will be noble. The Breathtakers are a plague to everyone living in the Heartlands. We did the right thing. You nod amongst yourself agreeing. We won't ever come back here, will we? I don't think so. We have a long journey ahead, and the Baroness of Blood is going to haunt us. Hopefully the Heartland Elder holds some answers for us. Let's get the adventurer's map. We're going to need it. And thus begins the journey of the Heartlanders. Will they succeed in their quest, become adventurers, and liberate their tormented homeland? Or will they perish like the thousands before them, falling to the might of the dark citadel of Yaengard? Perhaps the better question is, who will they have to become in order to triumph where thousands before them have failed? Either way, this is where their journey begins. Okay, so Hugh Oat has become more noble. He's now got a perk called Kindness. This perk is not just for show. This perk actually matters in decision-making on down the line. If you find an event, there's a chance that it may be able to be resolved with kindness or cruelty or lying or honesty. And so having more and more of these perks on your characters is a really, really good idea, especially if you can level them up a little bit so that you get the extra perks that go along with the character attributes that you're leveling. We didn't get any loot from that fight, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay. We're still pretty early on. And this is the general flow of the game right here now that we're well and properly into it. You will take something, you will resolve it, you will get some kind of reward for that, or you will fail and get nothing, and then you move on to the next one. You can play this game in roguelike mode and put it in permadeath if you want to, but that's entirely up to you. It's got a normal mode, and then it's also got kind of like a roguelike Iron Man type deal, and so it comes down to player preference. I do like that they included both of those as an option. Let's go ahead and take an encounter. I'm going to try to resolve at least one or two of each of the types of events so that you can see what the game has on offer before we ditch out here today. By the Black Cow, look at this place. The farmer stands hopelessly as she looks over the fields, plants crawling with insects. It says what happened here? The monstrous insects swarmed in, ruining my farm. This is my livelihood. With it ruined, I have to decide between paying the imperial tax or feeding my family. Oh, we don't have any things that we can actually, like, give him, her. I don't know, like, they're wearing a dress, but I honestly have no clue. Let's see here. Maybe it's like a frock. Maybe it's like a woodland worker's frock. Maybe that, dude. There's some big bugs on those plants right there. Like, those are almost like RPG quality level 1 enemies. We can't really do anything right here because we don't have any of the supplies or anything that we could actually use in order to resolve this event in a good way. And so anyways, we're going to go ahead and just kind of resolve it. We have a long ways to go today, and we don't have time to help you. The adventurers are all the same, never interested in helping others. The farmer's attitude turns bitter. If you won't help me leave, apparently you've got better things to do. Well, I mean, like, your problems are not my problem. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of being chased by the entire Inquisition right now. They tried to chop me and hack me into little meaty hunks in front of my house. And so, you know, at least all you've got is bugs on your pumpkins, okay? We'll take a combat right here and kind of see how that resolves. When you enter the tavern to get a quick meal, you are greeted by heartlanders. It's them. You aren't welcome here, murderers. So you're going to take the breathtaker's side, huh? Hey, you aren't the ones who now have the Heart Watch searching your homes. Yeah, they raised my cousin's house. You'll pay for that. Just calm down. Calm with breathtakers taking our bread and living dead haunting our forests? All right, let's make these bastards pay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, let's do it. Let's throw down. Let's give these folks a thumping they'll never forget. I don't think this is going to go the way that you think it's going to go. But by all means, feel free to test the hypothesis. We'll go ahead and deal some damage right there, end the turn. We're going to focus up on this side, and we're going to really, really hope that our other character... Well, we'll move in here just in case. Because, like, I'm a little bit worried. Wait, I have no action available? Why do I have no action available? Oh, I focused, didn't I? Yeah, I was going to say. So we either want to force them out of this tile... Or, when they attack on the other tile, we want them to deal less damage. Okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and wail on the 16 HP lady. There we go. Little bit of damaji off. We'll go ahead and stop right there. We'll go ahead and smite over here. That guy had a lot of armor. That was actually considerably difficult to get through. There we go. Give me a little bit of armor restoration right there. I like it. Your HP loss in this game is permanent until you rest. And so that's part of the game is risk-reward management and figuring out, like, hey, when do I look for an inn? When do I use healing items? Stuff like that. Yeah, I just need one of you guys to die, in all honesty. That's pretty much where I'm at right now. I don't really mind either way. Wow, they got a lot of armor. I think every single one of these guys has a tool that restores their armor whenever they attack. Go ahead and finish her off. There's one down. And then you just kind of wait where you're at. I don't want to crowd this tile too much. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to sort of like swirl in and out of melee on this side in order to keep things... Oh, that's an interesting choice. All right. Well, let's go after this guy. He's almost down. Okay. Looks good to me. This tile is going to be crowded, but it's not going to be crowded for much longer because we just beat that guy to death. Obviously, a little wispy on the melee sound effects front. I would like to hear, like, a little bit meatier of just, like, ka-chunks and, you know, like, noises that sound like there's actual flesh being rent and, like, bone being struck with blunt force trauma. I definitely think that the sound effects in combat could be punched up a little bit to be a little bit chunkier, just so they aren't quite so quiet. That's fine. We should have her on this turn. There we go. She's now down. We took a little bit of a scuffing right there, but I think it's going to be okay. What do we get? Anything good? We got some pants and a vest. When it's linked like this, it means you get to pick one, but not the other. And so we've got some pants right here. They are roadcloth pants. They give us 14 HP, and they give us a 5% chance to dodge. So if we have anybody that's got a decent dodge chance, might not be a terrible idea to throw it on there. We've also got a leather jerkin, which is basically the same thing, but a chest piece. Well, as far as dodge goes, pretty much everybody has 4%. So we'll go ahead and throw that on there, and as you can see, it was just flatly stacked, and so now this character has a 10% chance to dodge. That's not terrible. You don't get to carry the loot that you just took off your character with you. You don't get to, like, put it in your pack or anything else like that. Basically, gear swapping in this game is permanent, and you're discarding anything that you're not using. So there's not going to be any money or going to vendors or anything as far as I know anyways. You do get these little resources down here, artifacts, organics, supplies, and valuables that can be used in various events and things in order to, like, trade or bribe people or things like that. But by and large, there hasn't really seemed to be a giant focus on mercantile exchange in this game. Now, I think this character is exhausted. I don't remember exactly what that means, but being exhausted... Oh, did you not get a perk for being honest? Okay. Well, either way, I think if they go down to 0 points underneath there, There's some kind of like debuffity thing that they get, but I can't remember exactly what it is. Let's pick another event over here and see if we can resolve it in a satisfying way that results in us getting some goodies. While walking through the forest, you hear a terrified scream. Help! A Heartlands villager stands among the goblinoid raiders, shouting in complete panic. All right. So raiders coming into our homes and hurting our families? No, let's teach them the meaning of the law. Or we can get lone wolf. Okay, if we had valuables, we could negotiate with them. Let's go ahead and spread these around a little bit. We'll make her lawful, and we'll make her cold, I guess. So she's basically going to be the equivalent of our RPG medieval Judge Dredd. You prepare yourself to draw your weapons. These raiders will get what is coming for them. Okay. So we got a perk called Civil. I maintain the rules of civilization, keeping chaos at bay. Excels at lawful tasks and dealing with the Atanic Empire. Well, considering we're being hunted by the Atanic Empire, that might actually be a nice little perk and boon to have. Might not be the word. Are you guys bombarding me with spells right now from across the entire map? Oh, and you got a T1 stun off, too. That's gross. That hurts my feelings. But you guys did move into this tile, and I thank you for it, so I'm going to bludge you very quickly. Yeah, go ahead and finish that one off. I don't know exactly what else we've got going on, but definitely finish them. So they're going to move into this tile right here. These guys actually seem kind of wispy compared to the last fight we were in. I think we should be able to smite these guys no problem. Yeah, let's put a little bit of heat on them. Let's let them feel it. I do feel like with the attack animations, there could be a bit more of a wind-up on some of the weapons as well. They seem a little bit too flicky sometimes for me. Wow, nice crit, though. Okay, you've proved me wrong. I made fun of your wispy hits, and then you went ahead and one-shotted the raider just to prove me wrong. If there was ever a reason to do anything, it must be out of spite, right? Let's go ahead. Oh, I don't have an action available? Why don't I have an action available? Oh, it's probably because he's exhausted, so he can't move and attack on the same turn. I should have probably checked the tooltip. The tooltips underneath the character's portrait are a little bit small, and I think they could do with some resizing. We got a bone right there. 85% damage to every enemy in a tile. And then we've also got the Captain's Breeches, which stack up a little bit more dodge. Since we put the dodge on her, yeah, might as well bring that up ever so slightly more. We do need to make a decision whether or not we feel like it's going to be worth it. The Heavy Bonker. It deals like one less low-end damage, but it does do AoE to like everybody in the tile. Technically, we can dual wield it. You can't swing them both on the same turn, but what you can do is you can pick and choose between them with your action, and so maybe we'll have somebody dual wield that one on up. And I don't think there's any penalty for dual wielding in this game from what I've observed so far. It hasn't seemed like super relevant. Let's go ahead and see if we can do a skill challenge, because you guys haven't seen one of those yet. Plus, that'll get us enough XP to go up to level 2. You find a carefully engineered locking mechanism between you and the prize. The lockpicker's art may be disreputable, but it is useful. It is, of course, easier with the right tools or the right force. Isout apparently can use one of our supplies in order to get a 72% chance to get through, or we can do somebody that has power in order to break through. Let's go ahead and try and, like, jimmy it open with the supplies. Hey, we made the roll. So the goal in this game is to roll underneath the target number that you're going for on a D100, basically. So on a 100-sided die, if it says you have a 72% chance of getting into that chest, we're rolling a die, and we have to roll under 72, basically, to get through. It uses the same system as Dark Heresy. All right, after working the lock for a while, 3 rapid clicks sound from the lock, and its hinges move freely. The chest swings open, and you get what you were looking for. We got some organics. Oh, we got a wizarding wand. Very nice. So I can put that on the person that had ancestry. There we go. Now we've got a wizarding wand, and apparently Sully Cold is now a witch hunter. One thing you may notice is that their title changes as you change their equipment around. So basically, it's cut into two parts, which is like their personality and then their class. This guy's dual-wielding melee weapons, so he becomes a fighter. This person only has a weapon in one hand and really hasn't done anything with their gear to sort of like accentuate what their fighting style is. So they're still a peasant. This guy has a melee and a magic, therefore becomes a witch hunter, which is honestly one of the most badass names you can have. We'll go ahead and give power and ancestry to this character so that in either case they're good. They can cast and get like an extra 8% damage or 6% damage. And then if they need to, they can smack the enemy for an extra 5% damage and initiative. I'll take it. We should probably look for an inn soon. We are getting a little bit tired. So I'm going to queue that up and say find an inn. And we're going to go for another challenge over here just to see if we can find anything. Weary from your journey, the three of you stop at a cooking site. Excited to get something warm to eat. Good lord, I don't know what happened right there. Tongue.exe decided no longer to work. You light the abandoned campfire below the heavy cauldron. This place seems abandoned. We should eat what they clearly left behind. If we have any herbs, we could also make an inspiring tea. It could help us feel better. Standing by the warm fire, you ponder what you'd prefer to make of this. So it looks like we've got a pretty low chance to succeed at all of these. So I'm just going to have Sully Cold just kind of cook a meal and give us 25% health. You gather the abandoned food. Hopefully they aren't rotten. A little typo right there. You cook them into something you hope is edible. Some of this, some of that. You eat the soup. This could have tasted better. Hopefully we can get some real food at an inn later. For now, this is what we have. Having finished your food, you pack and continue onwards. All right. I need to level everybody too, but we'll do that at the inn, I think. There we go. And so you can basically summon an inn whenever you want. The only downside is every single time you use an inn, something bad happens. So this track fills up every time you use an inn. And so increases the total weapon mastery of enemies by 3%. So their damage has gone up by 3% with this first camp. And there will be new things. There will be things that go further and further wrong. So let's go ahead. We got Esout leveled up. We don't have you leveled up just yet. You do have a little bit of agility. Maybe I'll focus you on a little bit of crit. And we'll focus on damage right there. That sounds good. And then with Hugh Oat, let's go ahead and, like, tank you up, brother. I want you to be kind of tanky. That's what I'm going for. If we find any plate mail, you're going to be the recipient of that plate mail. All right, well, that's pretty much all that there is to resting, so we need to get back on the road and continue adventuring so that we can get rid of this evil Baroness, I guess. Let's continue north. We have nothing but 2 combats to look forward to, so let's go left side, strong side. In your long journey, you come across a bridge. Travelers, a group of Heartland villagers are blocking your way across the old stone bridge. Yes? We don't want your kind here. Wherever you go, both destruction and the Heart Watch follows. We have to pass. This is the only bridge leading north for miles. I told you! If we tell them no, they'll just walk right all over us. We have to fight them off. With a grim expression, the villager responds by clenching their weapon, having apparently made up their mind. Okay. Hugh Oatman, take us into battle. We won't let you push us around in our home. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're about to get smote, though, dude. I'm just letting you know. You're about to catch the Blappities. Do they have any casters? They do. The person with the candlestick is a caster. All right, well, let's just get into combat then as fast as possible. I don't want to leave us laying around in the backfield if I can help it. We'll kind of like pinch him in over here because he's not going to be able to get into combat for minimum 2 turns anyways. So I don't think it's really going to matter. One of our characters got lit on fire with the candlestick. So apparently we've got an old-fashioned game of Clue going on right now. Ow. You opened with a crit? And you rooted my character so that I can't move. Hate everything about that. All right, well, I can't do anything with this character's turn because they're rooted, so I guess we'll just kind of hang tight. Over here, I would like to, yeah, maybe shoot some frost magic at that lady. Teach her a lesson about shooting fire all over the place. It's very, very rude to light your friends on fire. We're all Heartlanders here. There we go. Spread that AoE around. Keep them from stacking up too many goodies. No action available. Okay. You know, I just noticed, I think like every single melee guy we fought so far has had a weapon that restores their armor. It's been a little bit of a headache. Yeah, maybe move over to there to pin down the wizard too. She's really... Oh, cool, you frosted her. What does that mean? Hold on, I gotta get close enough to read the tooltip. Frost. This character deals less damage to a maximum of 75%. Okay. As you can see, the tooltips get really, really small. Ideally, what you would want is for this HUD above the characters' heads to resize based on camera distance. In addition, sometimes, like, the trees need to kind of, like, dither out when you go through them. And so they should have, like, a... When you go through trees, basically they should disappear except for, like, the edges of the screen and become translucent so that you can see through them on, like, the focused action. But anyways, let's go ahead and end the turn right there. You know, if you keep lighting me on fire, I'm going to think that we ain't friends. We'll go ahead and do a weighted swing over there. All right, that guy's attempting to chase down my hacksaw lady. Actually taking a decent amount of attrition here. Yeah, move over to here. See if you can't get her. Over here, we'll give him le bonk. You move over here, and we'll give him the bonk. When this guy comes on in, it's going to nerf his damage because we're now in a crowded space. That's fine. Because I think this guy's going to attack, and then... Oh, he did not, actually. Fair enough. I thought he was going to attack and then, like, move to a different tile because typically the AI really seems to like kiting you around in this game. There we go. Yeah, we got chewed on a little bit, which is unfortunate considering we just got out of an inn. Hopefully we find like a healing event or something pretty shortly. Otherwise, I think combat's going to be off the cards for a little bit, but that's kind of the joy of like your adventure being customizable too, is that like we don't really have to take the fights except for the ones that we like have to take. And we've got another helmet over here that gives HP, so we want that to go on Hugh Oat because he is our tank. So he's got 79 now. We've got a cleaver which does 7 to 9 damage. And apparently it's got a lower chance to hit. I think in that case, I'd rather go for like some pants or something. And in fact, there are upgraded pants right there for Hugh that both raise his dodge and also almost put his HP up into triple digits. So I'll take that. That looks good to me. Healed up a little bit, so that's okay. Let's go ahead and take this event right here and see what it's got for us. Exhausted from your travels, you hear the refreshing sound of water. Ah, a well, or perhaps a place for something to drink. So it looks like we can search the well if we had a particularly talented character. Unfortunately, we do not. We can make a skill check to see if we can be a suspicious... Yeah, let's do that. Let's have Sully Cold do it because we need the healing anyways, and then that'll give her the suspicious tag. I don't know if the suspicious tag is going to come with any type of perk or bonus, but we got 40% of our HP back. And so it looks like we get the ability to control ground, which actually sounds pretty good. It also looks like it boosts armor and toughness if you go down the suspicious track. So that's cool. This is Yaengard. I hope you guys liked it. Yaengard is a little bit of a weirdie, isn't it? So, like, if you really think about it, this is the kind of game that could really only come out of indie games because the systems are like intricate and smushed together and ambitious. Like, this is something that like a big company would never take a risk on. But like, I really like developing the character's personality traits, and I actually think that this is absolutely the game's strongest emergent point. Like, I like how they've incentivized picking personalities for the otherwise random party members, which encourages follow-through. Like, once you've decided who's going to be your loose cannon, who's going to be your lawful good guy, who's going to be your sneaky evil guy, you are incentivized to keep making decisions that further develop kind of that aspect of their personality, because ultimately they give you stat points and they give you perks that help out inside of events and stuff from it. And that's a really, really good thing. I found the combat, I think, to be a tiny bit simple for my taste. Like, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more depth there, and I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more just kind of rules and structure to it, but it functions perfectly fine, and I don't think I've had any major issues inside of combat. Just things that I think could be refined a little bit with regards to the lack of zone control, and like the AI's weird need to move around the grid regardless of whether or not it advances their strategy. Like, they almost always seem to hit you and then run to the next tile over, even though just like sitting there and engaging. Like, for example, them hitting you and running to the next tile over doesn't really do anything, because I'm just going to follow you over there with my move and hit you again. And so they might as well just kind of hang out in the same tile and give the impression of some kind of engagement taking place. I do think that they should think about implementing the system that War Tales has, where once a character strikes another character, they are officially engaged in melee combat and cannot break that without taking an attack of opportunity. It might make the game feel a little bit less cheap with kind of that random running around and flowy feeling to the whole thing. The writing is fine. I didn't see any major issues with the writing. It's okay. You'll find typos from time to time in various events. It hasn't happened a ton, but it's happened once or twice while I was checking the game out. I've had a couple of issues with polygons like stretching and tearing, or one thing that I had happened is like the foreground UI, like the health bars, like the health meters and the armor meters. I've had them glitch into 3D backgrounds on one occasion when the 3D background was particularly large. I think it was like a boulder or something. And so like the UI itself is actually a 3D kind of billboard that's levitating above the character that can actually clip into other collision, I guess. And I saw that happen one time too, but stuff like that can be really immersion breaking, especially when you're going for like a narrative based game. So they may want to get that addressed. Still, those things said, I like what they're working towards with Yaengard. It's a party based RPG that borrows from roguelites, and if you really think about it nowadays, most roguelites borrow from RPGs. And so I sort of liked that they've pushed the character building narrative stuff to the forefront while using the roguelite elements to accentuate. While Yaengard may not be as slick and polished as something like Wildermyth, which I think is actually pretty similar to this game, if you're looking for an FTL grid party RP, like an FTL grid styled party RPG with really, really high customization, I think the game does an okay job of it. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had Yaengard. Tomorrow we will have something else. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for hanging out.